Is this the first year where it will actually be worth watching this team month over month? I don't know, but we're going to find out because we are going to do just that, at least until the point that it's very clear that we're not going to make the playoffs. If that is the case, you never know. Crazier things have happened. Now, I left the last episode at the beginning of the re-sign phase because I wasn't sure as far as qualifying offers what we were going to look to do. Did try to get some extra picks, didn't happen, so we're starting here. The team is set. Let's take a look because I don't want to waste too much time today. I want to get right down to business. Now, this is the first year that I have changed player types as well. So forward-wise, we only have playmakers and snipers. I know some people would probably argue all-out offense could include power forwards, but obviously when we did Goon Squad back in the day, it was power forward, grinder, enforcer that we used on offense. So because of the physical aspect, we're not using that for now. But this is the team that we're going with. Mizak, Grigorenko, and Holtz on the top line. A +3 for that trio, which, I mean, I can't wait to see what they do. Second line of Kamel, Nazarov, and Rudy Jovanovski's up to an 83, which is great. He doesn't fit in as well on that second line, though. I could drop into the third line, but an even rating as opposed to a +1, it'd be more beneficial to have him on that second line. Third line, you have Brody Appleby, who's finally made the NHL roster, Marko Norinen, and Sergei Korobov. Now, normally I'd prefer to have Isaac Benson on the third line, and as he's next to Par Hedstrom and Ruben Foss, but you see the +3 that Benson helps provide to that fourth line. I think it's a bit too beneficial to have him on the third line instead. But that forward core is solid, man. That top six is respectable. The bottom six, not so much. But that top six should be able to do some damage. And defensively, it's coming together. It's not amazing, but it's getting there. You have Doughty and Trafford, of course. Afinogenov will be on the NHL roster this year. Might be a bit too much too soon for him. Time will tell. Of course, the addition of Terrell Montgomery was tremendous. And then Harry Stewart, who I am very happy that we ended up with. We are one more, arguably two more defensemen, really one more. Afinogenov's going to make it. We are one more solid defenseman away from this defense being good enough. Goaltending-wise, Bednar and Kluchek, they've capped, unfortunately. They have peaked. We are going to need a better goalie in the future, at least if we want someone 85 plus. So we'll keep that in mind as we get into future drafts. Down in the AHL, of course, we still have a lot of players that are worth keeping an eye on. Of course, you had guys like Clifford that were, given opportunities over the last few years. But someone like Brandon Kapusta, a big moment for him in the AHL this year. Arguably, actually, just not even really an argument about it, he is our top player. Someone like Dominic Sawyer might be pushing for a fourth line spot in the future. Defensively, not much there, really, out of those top four. But goaltending-wise, we still have Cyrus Astles and Lorenzo Reismiller, and we'll see what those two can do in terms of development. Again, Astles could be the guy, probably not, but he could be. And time will ultimately tell. So with that, this team is set, and again, unlike in previous episodes, we're good to go. We are going to follow this team. We're going to see what this team is capable of for this season. You get a look at the ratings. It's respectable. It's not amazing, but it's respectable. And we might, maybe, possibly, potentially, we might just be competitive after all. But I do think we've checked out everything with the exception of the draft class. Scouting is set. And actually, let's take a look at the draft class. Let's see who is going to be available, and we don't have info on too many guys, except for Easton Shields, who we know will not be available. I'm actually surprised we don't have more basic information available for a lot of those guys, but we'll see what happens as we continue to scout. Let's do this. For the first time, no jump cut necessary, I hope, although ultimately that could prove to be the case. We will see what this team can do, and that is, unfortunately, includes giving up 6 goals in the first 3 games. Oh boy, we might be jump cutting sooner rather than later. We do get our first win of the season against Columbus, before losing again. We beat Toronto, though, so defensively, some early concerns. A 4-0 shutout loss to Florida, and then a 7-4 win. I know it's early, right? Even in real life. October, it's not that important. You can overcome it. I just can't help but think, based off of how October went for us, it could end up being that, I don't want to say like overly drastic momentum swings. Like, I don't want to say that can define the team. There's a good chance that's going to define the team, though, for lack of a better term, at least. But I have a feeling we're going to be a win 3, lose 3 club this year, as Dmitry Sidikov actually never ended up signing a deal. We're not even going to sign him. If he doesn't want to accept the qualifying offer, he can sit out for the year. That's literally not an issue for me. He isn't going to be a useful goaltender to us at this point. No retention, though. You know what? I'm gonna let him go. If Florida wants him, that's cool. But I'm probably just gonna let Sidikov go, as it's apparently going to be a good year for rookies. There's no reason whatsoever for me to keep him. It's just, if he's not going to get qualifying offers, it's for the best to let him go. Now, whether or not they waited too long to do that, I don't know. And they didn't. So, yeah, we'll continue. So, Dmitry Sidikov, basically considered dropping into free agency, but he is going to the Florida Panthers. Unfortunately, it's not a large enough deal that we end up getting compensation, which isn't surprising. He's a mid to high 70s goaltender. It was unlikely in the first place. But if we were to have let go of Bednar, maybe like 2 seasons ago, when he would have gotten a pretty good offer because he was on the come up, I think it would have been worth it. And Sidikov maybe would have been able to develop to be a useful goaltender for us. That wasn't going to happen at this point. So, case in point, by the way, I guess we didn't win 3 in a row. Win 2, lose 2. Lose 3, win, loss. It's 16, 18, and 3. That's what it is. We are a little bit behind the pace now. We were hanging in there for a while, but we are currently 6 points out of a playoff spot. Alex Holt's 34 points in 37 games, so as expected, the top line is doing quite well. Mizak looking all right. 19 goals for Grigorenko, so I'm happy about that. Secondary scoring, Rudy's struggling a bit, man. You know what? Let's make that switch. How's Appleby doing in the first place? 14 points. Let's make that switch and see what happens. And then fourth line is horrific. They are not ready for prime time. Doughty and Trafford have been a pretty solid pairing. And Finneganoff and Montgomery, not so much. And that third pairing has been a tire fire, and unfortunately we can't make a change without a -2 coming into effect. So we are pretty much locked in. The goaltending has actually been on point, which I got to admit is a little bit surprising to me, given the save percentages that we're seeing, or the plus minus that we're seeing for the fourth line in the defense. To see the goaltending actually doing that well, that's, I don't want to say a rarity, but certainly uncommon. Normally the two tend to go hand in hand, but it just goes to show maybe what these goaltenders would be capable of if we were to have a better defense behind us. So, I talked about it just a few minutes ago. In terms of getting an 85-plus goalie, we don't exactly have someone in the system right now who's going to be capable of that, but I do think that an 81 overall guy is more than enough to win a Stanley Cup with. It's not, in theory, it's not ideal, but the teams that I'm seeing win the Stanley Cup more often than not, you don't see Patrick Waugh between the pipes. You see, anywhere between a 75 and an 81 is like the most common overall rating for me, or ranking. I guess rating would be the, more on point term. But yeah, I think we'll be okay. This year, it's starting to become evident. Again, we're hanging in there. We are proving to be a bit of a streaky team. We're hanging in there. I don't think it's going to happen yet. I mean, we are only 2 points out of a playoff spot. Maybe it could happen, but I think next year for sure will be that first year where we get to say, yeah, this could happen. So, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I mean, a miracle run, a couple more pity points along the way over the last month and a half or so could see us into the playoffs. But I don't know. We shall see, well, like I said, what happens here over the next few games. As of the deadline, we have a 29, 31, and 3 record with 19 games left in the season. I think every team is on 63 points. We're 7 back of the Panthers, though, although we're only 5 points back of Washington. So we're still in it with a month and a half to go. Like I said, I don't envision us making it to the playoffs. That would be absolutely insane if there ended up being a playoff series to talk about today. How's Jovo doing? Again, plus minus isn't great. Applebee's doing all right. Let's let's keep it that way. Jovanovski's still getting power play time, so I think he'll be all right. Afinogenov up to a 76, and goaltending wise, it's still all right. Again, I don't think this is going to be our season, but next season, maybe, just maybe. I do agree that this was the first season where it was worth following along, changing all the player types, getting this team essentially within the parameters of the challenge, right? This is the first year where it's like, okay, why bother changing everyone to playmaker and sniper? We're going to be terrible anyway, who cares? But yeah, this was the first year. I mean, hell, we just won 4 in a row before losing 2 in a row, but it at least is an overtime loss to the Florida Panthers. We lose to Washington, a shootout loss, case in point. Win 4, lose 4. Like I said, streaky team. We've won 2 in a row. Edmonton's a really good team, and they kicked us up and down the ice. Ottawa wins a shootout, not a literal shootout, but 7-5. So yeah, win some and then lose 5 in a row. We have 4 games left this season, and we are currently 5 points out. So it's not looking good. We'd have to win every game. We play a very good Detroit team here on the road, and we actually get a 6-3 win. So the hopes are still alive, although it's 83 points. We're 5 points back. If we lose a game, we're done for. We're playing Minnesota, who have won 9 out of their last 10, and we beat them too. If anybody slips up, there's a chance. And Montreal did. Columbus didn't. It's 83 points to make it. We still have to win. It's not going to happen, but it could. We play a pretty poor Vancouver team. We beat them as well. Is this too little too late? It is. Wow. A great run at the end of the season, but it's too little too late. Can we beat Vegas? No, we can't. So we fall just shy 3 points, potentially more, because Montreal hasn't played yet. And ultimately, it is 5 points out of sneaking into the playoffs. But indeed, this was the first year that was worth it. Last year was close to being worth it. This year was definitely worth following along and not just simming to the end of the season. 38, and 6 on the year. Not bad. I mean, the 5th best team out of 8 in the Atlantic. You have Ottawa, Tampa, Florida, and Montreal making the playoffs in and out of the Metro, Pittsburgh, Carolina, the Islanders, and Blue Jackets. In the West, you have Detroit, top team in the West, Colorado, Minnesota, Dallas, and Winnipeg. And in the Pacific, Edmonton, Calgary, and Arizona. So the Red Wings, the top team in the league. We finished 24th out of 32 teams as we topped the Rangers. We have 1 more win, 2 more in the ROW category. Offensively, a .294 goals for average, which was towards the bottom, but not horrific. Goals against, also not on either end of the spectrum. At least not to either extreme end of the spectrum. Which again is a sign that the goaltending was relatively on point, and that this defense is really starting to come together. Now, Alex Holtz, great season. 88 points for him. 48 goals for Vyacheslav Grigorenko. Unreal what he and Alex Holtz might be able to do for us over the next few seasons. That is tremendous. Nazarov with 66 points and 32 goals. Mizak with 65 points and 22 goals. And our fifth and final 20-goal scorer at least appears to be Joachim Kamel. 27 goals, 57 points. The secondary scoring it dropped off a little bit. Appleby and Jovo, it's a bit of a disappointing season for Rudy Jovanovski. He needed to be capable of a bit more than what he was. Appleby just flat out outperformed the guy. And in terms of secondary scoring, Isaac Benson, that's pretty surprising that he put up the least amount of points on this team. Defensively, Zane Trafford continues to be amazing. Montgomery was solid. Jamie Doughty, though, is just not going to be that top-notch defenseman that I was hoping for. And goaltending-wise, a 910 for Bednar, only a 900 for Kluchek through 18 appearances. I really can't complain. I wasn't expecting the playoffs. You never know with EA Voodoo. Maybe, just maybe it would have happened. But I can't complain. We, at the very least, started to show that indeed progress is being made. Grigorenko was tied for the league lead with 48 points. There is a four-way tie. That is insanity. At the very least, though, this team is showing that progress that we needed them to show. Heiskanen led the way. Quinn Hughes is on Pittsburgh now, of all places. And goaltending-wise, the winningest, Askarov and Vasilevsky. The shutout king was Nicholas Tarnqvist alongside Braden Holtby and Pat Lopp. Good old Pat Lopp. Jesus, he's a pretty good pick. Former first-round pick, so it makes sense. Save percentage-wise, it's Tarnqvist. Although Spencer Knight might have an outside shout for the Vezina. Rookie of the Year is going to be Brody Appleby. It was a down year for rookies, but I will take it. Brody Appleby is going to win the Calder. Now, I don't remember if we've had a Calder winner. This is either our first or our second. I think it's our first. I mean, I told you last year I thought Brody Appleby would have a good chance of making the squad for this season, and he might be able to do well. And, hey, again, it might have been a down year. Less than 40 points might be enough to win the Calder, but an award is an award. And I am not complaining by any stretch. So a memorable season, to say the least, despite the fact that we did not make the playoffs at the end of it. But you look at the emergence of Grigorenko as a top-notch goal scorer. You look at the likes of Appleby and Benson, stepping up to this roster. Appleby especially winning the Calder. I really can't help but be excited for what's going to happen with this team over the next few seasons. We are where we want to be as the New York Islanders. Well, where we want to be for the end of Phase 1. Phase 1 is getting this team to be competitive. Phase 2 of this series, win a Stanley Cup. Phase 3, keep winning cups, hopefully. And not have it be, make it to a Stanley Cup final and lose, and then make it again and lose, and make it again and lose, which has happened. Hopefully won't happen in this series. Again, the Islanders win the Stanley Cup. Alex Holtz is a 91. We will, of course, look at progress reports. They beat the Dallas Stars in 5 games. I do wonder if Steven Stamkos is an Islander. The Marlies beat the Rockford Ice Hogs in 5 games to take home the Calder Cup. Let's take a look, though. The New York Islanders, Matthew Beignets, I guess it would be. I need to figure out how to pronounce his name correctly. But he led the way. Josh Hosang finally allowed to play. Barzal, Shafagulin, Asplund, Ehlers, Oliver Wahlstrom. You know what, here, let's actually take a look at the overall. So a 90 there, 86 for Hosang, 91 for Barzal. Shafagulin had an 83. Asplund was up there. That is a pretty damn deep forward core. No real weak links. Wow, Quentin Byfield didn't develop for them. That is shocking and horrific mismanagement on their part. They have Adam Fox, Travis Sanheim, Chad Chris, Scott Mayfield, Oli Mata, and Noah Dobson. And the goaltender was immediately sent down to the AHL, I guess, or retired. That's incredibly weird. Looking at the awards, as the Stanley Cup comes back to the Eastern Conference, Hatanen takes home the Art Ross. You have the Hart also going to Hatanen. The Norris to Quinn Hughes, leaving the point. The Calder does go to Appleby. Beautiful. The Bappleby wins the Calder. Beignets, I guess it would be, wins the Conn Smythe, so Stamkos' reign of terror has come to an end. The Vezina went to Tarnqvist. In Boston, the Jennings to Kokechkov. Charlie Letty, I believe that is, wins the Masterton. The Jack Adams to Arizona. Sasha Barkov, the Selke. Hatan wins the Ted Lindsay. But there you see it. We have a three-way tie for the Rocket Richard. Technically, it should be a four-way tie, EA. You want to explain that one? That should be a four-way tie. We got gypped. Turcotte, Zegras, and Hall. I mean, yeah, as it is, it's showing a three-way tie. That's ridiculous. That is highway robbery. I demand a recount. No respect at all for Grigorenko. We will prove them wrong in due time. Most points went to Machias. Again, we are very much as a guy named Paco. That's tremendous. We are, with the exception of Jeremy Poirier, who won Defenseman of the Year, and Georgiev winning top goaltender. Freddie Anderson won the MVP of the playoffs. We are definitely at the point where computer-generated players are going to dominate the AHL awards. So despite the fact that he was screwed out of... Well, I'm actually surprised Grigorenko didn't get better. In fact, he was screwed out of that co-award win. He had a very good season. Now, Alex Holtz is a 91 right now. You have Montgomery up to an 85, which is great. Doughty just still continues to disappoint. Appleby's up to an 81. Now that is development that I can support. Finneganov's up to an 80, so huge improvements for a lot of key players that we needed to see get better. I think Sergei Korobov, too, at a low top 6. That is an underrated bit of development. Benson at a 78. Even Jesse Cochran up to a 77. That makes him a much, much more useful player for us moving forward, as Lou Roberts is up to a 74. In the system, you have Ott and Kavanaugh on the way up. Of course, I didn't sign Kavanaugh this year, and we'll be doing that for the upcoming season just because I figured, okay, I can play him in the AHL or hold off. Joel Stamkos is up to a 67. Daig up to a 66. And, you know, in fairness, I questioned whether or not we had an elite goalie that could make the jump. I don't know if Daig's going to go up another 19 points to an 85 or more over the next couple of years. It would be amazing. I'm not exactly holding my breath, though. But overall, solid season throughout this organization. You look at what we did at the NHL level, prospects taking a step forward. No reason to be upset with what I've seen in this episode today. Of course, the lottery, I didn't expect it to go well, and it didn't. We stick at the number 9 overall position. I was going to say the lottery is the one way I could be upset. I guess technically we could have moved down. I certainly wasn't expecting us to move up. The New York Rangers ultimately did. We'll pay attention to the draft class once we get to interviews. Until then, let's see what we got for retired players and everything else we got to do. So let's see what we have. Nick Backstrom is leading the charge, almost 1,300 points. Voracek, Ryan O'Reilly finished 18 points shy of 1,000. Logan Couture just broke the 900-point mark. For defensemen, Erik Karlsson, straight ones. Jake Gardner, Jared Spurgeon leading the way. And for goaltenders, we see Frederik Andersen, Sergei Bobrovsky, and Semyon Varlamov. Call it a career. A lot of coach retirements. Any new staff members? No, because it's always such a rarity outside of the first few seasons. Okay. I mean, there was only one player, in the top half of the draft, top 5 at least, that we could have gotten. The hope here, we do have Ken Mui, who is, he's not great. Do we have a defenseman? Please. This guy, Colin Joseph. There's no way you're an offensive defenseman. We're going to have to interview him to find out because he'd be amazing. Isaac Flaherty. There's, again, no way he's an offensive defenseman. What about Emmanuel Otereus, or Otter Eyes, as I love to call him? Heavy slap shot. I don't think you're going to be the defenseman we need. However, Gage Melnick is the defenseman that we need. This guy, though, is going to be insane. He's absolutely a sniper. Like, there's no question. This guy is a sniper. This guy, of course, confirmed the power forward. So, Moy I'm not expecting to be there. But Reeves is going to be a monster. What about... How good's Melnick, by the way? Okay, he's not bad. I mean, the defense needs work, obviously, but he's not bad. How good's Dawson Wingles? Pro release, heavy slap shot, shutdown ability. I wish you would be an OFD. I just don't trust it. Same thing here, size and strength. He's definitely not. We have a two-way. He's a playmaker. Although I would say Reeves. Yeah, Reeves is a bit better across the board. Do we have anybody else who is a sure thing? It doesn't look like it. Any potential, of course, confirmed potential would be great. But I think we're going to be good with the players that we have towards the top of the board here. So out of this group, who the hell are we going to interview? Wingles has a decent chance. No defined weaknesses. Melnick isn't a bad pickup option. Tyler Reeves looks like he could be amazing. But again, I think that extra defensive help would be very, very beneficial. I don't think any of the three defensemen here are going to be OFD. I just don't. Especially when you have strength and balance as a go-to for Flaherty. I don't think he's an option. I think if we interview Joseph, Otereus, and Wingles, though, to find out for sure, we'll be good to go, and that will leave us Reeves and Melnick to choose between. So, again, not holding my breath here, but we'll find out what Colin Joseph happens to be. He's a defensive D-man, so we can end that interview fairly quickly. No Colin Joseph for us. So, sorry, buddy. Let's take you off of the list. Manuel Otereus, what do we got? What do we have? Play style. We have another defensive defenseman. Again, not surprised. But we need to get confirmation. This is helping us whittle down our options. So then it's Wingles. If it's not Wingles, we're going for Reeves or Melnick. Tyler Reeves is absolutely going to be a sniper. No doubt in my mind. I know he's a two-way, but I'd be willing to draft him with 100% certainty that he's a sniper. But it really does depend on what we need. Is Wingles an offensive defenseman? He is not. He's a two-way. So it's going to be one of the two. Either I believe he was Dane? Indeed. Denmark's own Gage Melnick or Tyler Reeves as an offensive threat. One of those two will be our first round selection in this draft. So let's get down to business to defeat the Huns, of course. As far as what we have on this roster right now, though, the most important question is defense and how that's looking. So, I mean, Trafford, Montgomery, Doughty, Afinogenov, solid. You have Stewart, and then Stamkos as an outside shot, and that's it. We need another insurance policy. We really do. So, as much as that forward looks like he's going to be a steal and a half, I think we have to go with a defenseman. Skrpeshkov, Clapperton, Moyes off the board. Lukowicz, Wallin, Farmer, Shields, and that franchise. 84 overall Vitali. Jesus. 84 is the highest I've seen out of the draft this year. Rightfully so. So we are going with Melnyk. Has to be. Again, Tyler Reeves has a great chance of being an amazing player. He's NHL ready as well. And you see a lot of these other guys aren't. Joseph is. Oh, man. Is there a player, a defenseman, projected in the second round, though? There are forwards. Mainly Eichel. Braxton Eichel. He's not great, but that is a decent forward we could pick up. Clark's not looking that good. Do we have anybody here like crazy overall wise? Doesn't look like it. There are a couple of guys who have some notable stats or attributes, but nothing too crazy. We can get an okay forward prospect later on. We need this defensive help. Drafting for need sucks because oh my god, though, Tyler Reeves is going to be so good. He's 17. He's NHL ready. I honestly think this guy's too good to pass up. I really do. The one tragedy is if he is somehow a two-way. But with those strengths, I can't imagine that he's a two-way. If he is, I'm not allowed to keep him. Again, that's been the rule. Melnyk is the sure thing. We get the help that we need. But this dude just looks unreal. Absolutely unreal. And this is what sucks. Do we draft for need or do we take someone who is clearly the best player available? The one thing that's stopping me from taking Melnyk is that if Reeves is actually a medium elite. If he's a 76 medium top 6, I could do without. It's just the fear that he's going to be a medium elite. I got to draft for need. We're taking Melnyk, but trust me, I'm aware there's a really good chance that this guy should have been probably in the top 5. But we gotta go for the smart move. We have to. Gage Melnyk is the pick. He is a 71 medium top 4. Okay, that's a huge help. He is a much higher overall than I was expecting. I was thinking like a 66, 67. So that is a huge help for us. He is just about NHL ready by our standards, so that helps a lot. How good is Reeves? Nashville took Foy. New Jersey took Bonnet. The Blackhawks take Joseph, who was amazing, of course. We knew that, but we couldn't get him. Anaheim took Flaherty. Here we go. He's going to be chosen soon. St. Louis, 77 medium top 6. I said 76. I'm okay that we went with the defenseman. I am. If he was medium elite, I would be furious. But a medium top 6, we can do without. We made the right choice. We had the draft for need. Thankfully, it worked out. The question now is who is available in the second round. That Eichel dude's still there. There is actually Brendan Long, who I somehow completely missed. He's eligible. Son of a bitch, how'd I miss this guy? I still would have taken the defenseman, but goddamn. All right, that guy's definitely a power forward. This dude is definitely a playmaker. And then there's Eichel, who is going to be a sniper. Eddie Wheel is definitely a DFD, or not a DFD, a two-way. Physical play for Wilms, not going to help. That guy's a two-way. Desjardins, tough to say. That dude's definitely not eligible for us. Tapper's not going to be that good. DeVries, goal scoring, offensive instincts, and shot utilization. Probably a sniper, but with that potential, I'm not sure. Huskins, I don't know if he might be a power forward. Rayom is okay, but nothing too crazy. Jared Robinson is okay. You have another sniper, a potential defenseman here, not too crazy. Letang could be an OFD. I don't really know if I trust that. Myers is probably a really good goalie. He's 1 year out as an ETA. If he's a medium elite, that would kind of suck to miss out on him. Better odds that he's a starter, but it would still suck to miss out on somebody like that. Brian Boys is okay. Not a real guarantee, though. Georgievich, defensive zone play. He's probably not a sniper. I could take him anyway, but he's probably not. There are actually quite a few options. I feel like we have to go with that defenseman, though. Okay. You want to talk about someone who's probably a medium starter? Dominic Grosick. We have to go for that defenseman. I like that goaltender a lot. But again, shoring up the defensive side of things is just far too important. It is. We can have whoever fill out the bottom six offensively. Getting one more guy who can help carve out the defense, that was far too valuable. So we're going to take Brendan Long with this pick. He's a slightly taller offensive defenseman than we're used to getting, but he's a 61 medium top four. So now we're at the point, I would say, where we can just draft the best available. We have a strong group of forwards. We have a bit of defensive depth, which is huge. Now it's just about getting the best options that we possibly can, not only from the rest of this draft, but moving forward. That is the game plan. As the second round was okay, Huskins was a low elite. I'm intrigued by that goaltender who hasn't been picked yet. Medium starter, but he's a 74. Oof. Had a feeling he was going to be a starter. That's a really good overhaul, though, to start, but I'm all right with having not chosen him because Grosek is available. Now, Ty Emerson, really? He's showing up as a grinder. I don't trust that he's going to be available to us. That guy's not. How good is Crane? What about Huberdeau on defense? You're 6'5". Yeah, you're not going to be available. Grosek is available. We have Reed Burns, who honestly isn't that bad. McKenzie. No, you're actually going to be a two-way. What about Callahan? Goal-scoring, shot blocking. We're allowed to take him. The grades aren't that good, though. In comparison, don't want that guy, can't take that guy. Jonathan Clough. It's not looking that good. There's Taratukin, but we're not going to know enough about him. Tarasov, goal scoring, is probably a sniper, but I don't really trust that potential. We have this defenseman, Brennan Cashman. Not going to be an OFD. Cameron Pagadawan. Work ethic, you're going to be a grinder. There's a playmaker, Evan Greentree. The overall's not going to be great, but in terms of getting a prospect, that works. And he might be the best guy available here. Damn. Offensive consistency being a weakness screams not being an offensive defenseman, unfortunately. Unfortunately. McCammon's not that good. And then we get to the next round. So, excuse me, we have 3 players to pick from here. 2 forwards, either Burns or Greentree. Greentree being a sure thing, although Burns has the higher overall, I would say. It's just we can't guarantee the potential. Or we take Grosek as a goaltender, which he's not going to have the highest overall to start. But if that potential's on point, it's tough to say no to that. So we'll quickly take a timeout, recap what the goalie situation is, which is a little bit better than I thought it was. But we'll take a quick look here regardless. So we have Dig, we have Astles. I just don't know if either of them are going to make it. And then forward-wise, I mean, just to take a look at the overalls here. So, I mean, this is solid. Obviously, Nazarov right now isn't there value-wise just because his deal is up. But in the system, we have Norinen, but he's 23. Do you have anybody else? Kavanagh needs to be signed. You have Kapusta, who's a bit shaky. We do need some forward depth. We do. But that goalie, if he is actually a high elite, I'm going to go for Grosek here. We do need some forward help, but like I said, the top 6 is already set. It's just the bottom few lines that need to be carved out. We're going to take Dominic Grosek, who is indeed a high elite, but he's a 48. That is a lower overall than you'd like to see, but we add a high elite goaltender. We're not going to have to worry about goaltending, hopefully, anytime soon, unless it's someone who's just can't miss. Time will tell as to whether or not that was the right decision. I don't know if it was. But we do add a high elite goalie to the mix, which most of the time isn't such a bad thing to do. Physical play, he's not going to be available. Brossois. Defensive zone play, he's going to be a two-way. Preferably, we would get a forward here. Although, again, if there's a defenseman, we're all about just trying to take the best player available. There is a forward, Rick Parks. Rick Parks. A long way away, but he's exactly the type of player that we're looking for to add to the system. Get a half-decent chance of making something happen here. I'd rather take Parks than Rasanen, just because we don't know how good he is for sure. That's really what we're looking at here. Our sure things. Taro Levo. Going to have really good skating, apparently. Everything else, though, is a little bit weak. All right, that's a fairly straightforward pick. We're going for Rick Parks from the Kelowna Rockets. And he is a 49, medium top 6. So through 4 rounds, we've had one hell of a draft here. Our defense is sorted. We add another top goalie, potentially, to the mix. And we get another forward who, in the future, might be able to carve out a spot in this lineup. From here, though, Le Cavalier is the first option. That is what is happening. Do we have anybody else here? Vincent Houlet, if shot blocking is up there, he's definitely not available to us. Comrie, no again. There's gotta be somebody here, right? I mean, I guess technically we do already have one guy that we can look to make this work. Let's see. Oops. Jody Weller has grit as a defenseman. That's always a good sign, but not for what we're doing here. Oh, why do you have to be a grinder? Why do you have to do the things that you do? Be a sniper. It's more fun. Score goals. Don't punch faces. Why would you do that? Oh, boy. And there's a sniper. Okay. Well, actually, Kruger? No, he's definitely actually a sniper. So pin players, we have René Lecavalier, who is going to be the pick. Showing up as an OFD, so we're safe. I'm expecting medium 7th, to be honest. And still we got a low top 659 overall. We don't have to talk about that pick ever again. Sorry, René. You're not going to be a big featured player in this series, unfortunately. Now, quickly, hello, Nazir Kostopoulos. Just the type of player that I'm looking for. Just the type of player that I'm looking for. Magic hands, offensive creativity for Jeffrey DiPietro, huh? Kostopoulos and DiPietro could be quite nice. Kostopoulos is a gem as well. Character maturity, low offensive consistency. I'm not really liking too much else from what I'm seeing here. I mean, good point totals, I guess. Is there anybody with really good grades? No. So then we have the medium 6s. McKinley's definitely, actually, he's probably a two-way over a power forward. Sam Penner's not looking that good. And do we have a defenseman? Not really. Not really. Okay, so I think we have our last 2 targets for this draft. If we could get both of them, that would be amazing. We're going to take Nazir Kostopoulos to start because, damn. 5 years out, but a confirmed low elite sniper. The Hungarian, 50 overall, but one hell of a pick. Our next pick is 201, and I think the other dudes available. There he is. Jeffrey DiPietro, was it? Indeed. Wow, that's a hell of a way to end this draft, potentially. Now, DiPietro is an overager, but I am very intrigued. Now, it is a risk. He's a two-way, but there's a chance he's an offensive defenseman. And with magic hands and creativity, I think he will be. DiPietro is an offensive defenseman, low elite. Let's go. Outside of Le Cavalier, this was one hell of a draft, and by far the biggest episode for this team thus far. The success of the regular season, compound that with this draft. God damn, what a turn of events for this Mariners team, for this offense-focused franchise. We get Melnick and Long on defense, Grosek, and then Parks, Kostopoulos up front, DiPietro as well, a low elite defenseman. We are looking pretty damn good, I have to say. So heading into this next season, we'll have a lot of bullshit to do, which I'll probably do off screen. But just to get you a look at this team, again, goaltending-wise, I mean, Higgins is going to be dropped. That's pretty straightforward. Actually, here, we'll just drop him now. It's still going to be Bednar, Kluchek, Astles, and Rice Miller there. And we'll see what happens heading into next year when Daig has to be signed. We're looking for a good year of development from him, but I am going to leave him unsigned. And then all eyes on Grosek. But that's a pretty good crop of goaltenders. Defensively, Trafford, Montgomery, Doughty, Afinogenov, Cochran's useful. We have Stewart. Roberts is okay. But then the addition of Melnick, you have the likes now of Stamkos in the system, Long, and the low elite DiPietro. It's looking pretty damn good. And then forward-wise, like I said, that top six is pretty much carved out. I mean, Jovanovski and Appleby, whoever wants to fill the role. We do have to re-sign a lot of players, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it in the next episode. But again, Kavanaugh, Kapusta, you factor in Kostopoulos and Parks now. I think it's not going to be smooth sailing necessarily from this point on, but we're definitely on to phase 2, and that is being a competitive team from this point on.